What's up, YouTube? Sparty's back, and today I think I'm going to discuss a topic that came up a few weeks ago in the EU Discord. We were talking about the leaderboard that we had within our EU ranking battles that we do. The weeklies hosted by Untamed Gaming. You should go check these out. Follow twitch.tv/ghostsfo for the weekly battles that we do, the weekly matches and tournaments that we run. And someone pointed out, looking at the leaderboard for our fourth season, we're in our fourth season already for this, that after 2 or 3 events, the leaderboard was already looking pretty much like the leaderboard from the previous few events. The top 8, top 10 players all seem to be a pretty solidified list of players who usually make it to the top 8 after a series, depending on how much each player will play. Now, the point being that those players are consistent enough, and if they do play, they're always going to hit those positions, and they're always going to gatekeep other players who are trying to get better from breaking into top 8. And I don't think this was Meister Jaeger doing this. Saying this, and I don't think they were downplaying it, but they're just trying to make an observation here. And my response was, well, it's time to usurp. It's time to take the established top players and, well, break into being one of them. Take one, remove them, and put yourself there, and then take the next one and the next one, until you are one of those solidified top players in your scene. So the question here is, and the topic of the video, how do you go about breaking into those top 8 rankings for your local scene? Because that's a difficult prospect, and I'm not sure a lot of players have the confidence to believe in themselves that they can do that, when in fact it is very possible if you take it step by step. Now, the way I like to look at it is, we have, thankfully, Meister Jaeger is actually the person who put together the leaderboard for us and has been doing all the stats for our tournaments, so it's very clear who the top 8 players are. But you need that first of all. So if you don't have that, if you don't have a quite a well-organised scene where you're playing regularly, well, number one, get one. But if you do have that scene and it's not, you don't have leaderboards and things like that, well, just create a list for yourself. Rank from your scene who is number 1, who's number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However many players you have, get yourself that list. Where do you want to get to? You might just want to be one of those top 8 players. You might want to be top 3, recognised. Or you might want to be the best player in your scene, and you might be rapidly improving. But once you've got that list together, if you aren't breaking into that top 8 yet, even if you're sort of like, you come in sort of like there's 15 or so players who are better than you, let's aim at the bottom of that list and try to start looking at a few things for those people at the bottom of the list first. How do we beat them? And then do it again for the 5th place players, and then do it again for 4th, for 3rd, for 2nd, for 1st. So gradually you're going to be taking these steps in order to improve your gameplay and your game plan to defeat specific players, and in the process improving your own way of playing, and gradually taking on board more and more aspects of what makes that game, well, what makes that game work, how to play it effectively. Now, I've been playing Marvel quite a long time, 12, 13 years, and I've got some footage here, a few different bits of footage from matches I played back when I was starting out, going to my local Manchester Ranbats. Here's me versus a player called Vader. He actually pauses the game halfway through this set, and I'd let him carry on foolishly. Just take the game. The tournament organizer should force you to take the game, but I was trying to work my way up in the scene. I was trying to get a top 6, I was trying to get a top 3, I was trying to win one, and it took me a long time, and I had to gradually build up my skills and build up my insight into what types of players I was playing against. So as you are thinking about gradually overtaking 7th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 1st, however long it might take, the steps that you need to go through are, look at that 7th place player, who might be a person who pauses. Just think, what is their overall game plan? Are they a heavy rushdown player? Is that the only game plan that they have? Are they going to rush you down, and when you get some sort of stalemate situation or you're stirring each other down, do they carry on going in? Or are they the type of player to back off in that situation? Are they a dry player? Will they run away for the most of the time and try and encourage you to come in and then exploit your mistakes whilst you're trying to get in? It very much depends on the characters, yes, and the different character strengths that they have. Morrigan is exceptional at running away, but players all play uniquely. So you need to look at the player. What is their game plan? Because Morrigan can be played quite aggressively, an aggro gameplay style, and she can rush down better than most characters in the game. She might be one of the best at it because she can cover her approach and she has strong mix-ups. So the gameplay might be dry, might be rush down. They might be baiting you into making mistakes with their assists. They might be trying to make them themselves look vulnerable, but counter call your assists. Their game plan could be very varied, but what is their overall game plan? What are they trying to get you to do in order to win? Secondly, I'd look at their team or the teams that they play and think about what is the most essential character to their game plan. So for my team, for example, Wolverine, Dormammu, Iron Fist, this team is a bit of a strange one because you might think that, oh, Wolverine, I've got to kill Wolverine. Wolverine's doing all the work. But then you might think, is it Dormammu? Because Dormammu's the one, if Wolverine dies, he keeps making some wins happen with Dormammu. But then also the assist, Iron Fist assist is the key, surely, because Iron Fist assist is what keeps hitting me. Iron Fist assist is what keeps scoring all of these hits, and I can't let that assist be. I need to snap in Iron Fist. But then potentially sometimes Dormammu's a problem. So you got to work through the logic here and make a decision for yourself, arrive at a conclusion of who is the most essential character to their game plan, and you need to remove that character and ignore the other ones. Unless certain opportunities come. You might choose to snap a character in and kill them first, like snap Dormammu on my team. Kill Dormammu if you get the hit, because then Wolverine and Iron Fist, you could probably pop X Factor to kill Dormammu because Wolverine and Iron Fist can't chip you, and X Factor isn't as big of a deal in defending against those two. So you make that decision, and sometimes you might be able to kill Wolverine without spending much bar or many resources, and it might be worth doing that to get to Dormammu instead of sort of snapping Dormammu in first. But you've got to have your game plan in mind and think, under most situations, which character am I looking to kill on their team? It might be their major assist. It might be Doom missiles you want to get rid of, because that holds the two characters together. It's the synergy, or jam session for Dante. Or it might be that you're looking to get rid of their anchor, Virgil, Phoenix, Strider, something like that, Ami. Those characters and other characters as well might be the anchor character that they keep actually doing a heck of a lot of work with. Different players in our scene in Europe have different strengths with their characters. With someone who's playing like a KBR team, like Captain Joe or Shuffle, Sentinel is the linchpin that holds that team together. You are better off snapping in Sentinel than trying to kill Hulk. So snap in that character and kill him. With someone like One at Miles, his Virgil comebacks are disgusting, and snapping in Virgil might be a great idea, but also he can kill you 3 characters in a row with just 0, no assists. So you got to hedge your bets. Do I kill 0 first and then snap Doom out to get to Virgil? Well, if I do that, at that point, Doom could come in. I might not get the mix-up, and then he can just DHC to Virgil, and I'm now dealing with X-Factor, do Devil Trigger Virgil, and I can lose 3 characters that way. So you've got to make decisions about the characters and which way you're going to kill them. What order are you going to do this? You also need to consider, for each of those players, 7th, 5th, 4th, and so on, how do my matchups fare against them? Some players you might have just a straight bad matchup against. If you are playing a rushdown orientated team like mine and you don't have projectiles to deal with a lot of good projectile characters, you may have to suffer through the issue of having to get through zoning without any additional tools. You have to rely on your assists. If you have a very heavy projectile team, but they are, so you're playing something like Hawkeye or Captain America, but then you're playing against a rushdown team that can get past that, well, then you've got to deal with the matchup. You've got to think about the matchup. Now, if the matchup is so bad that you have to change characters against that player, or have to have maybe a one character that you can swap out on your team for another to give yourself a better chance, maybe that's a wise decision to get that character, start learning them, and get a pocket character for the future for them. It's always good in Marvel to learn additional characters. It's always good to have that in your back pocket. It just expands your knowledge of the game and the way that you interpret different interactions on the screen. You have more understanding and are able to deal with things quicker, faster reactions. It takes less of your mental stack to be able to react to things that are happening on screen. Or maybe it's just that you need to go in training mode and think about that matchup and start to develop counter strategies for the things that you see them doing in their footage. Get footage up and have a look at, right, okay, this is their team. What are the basic patterns that I'm seeing from them? And how do I get around them within this matchup? What is it about the matchup that's actually bad for my characters? How can I stop this from being an issue? Is it, going back to the previous point, is it that this character is essential to their game plan and that's the thing that makes it all a bad matchup for mine? Or a matchup that I'm not particularly good at? And you're going to improve yourself in that matchup against those players. Speaking of improving your matchup against those players, every person is individual. You might have Team Chris G, played by one person, run away completely dry. And another person plays Morrigan in a rushdown style, very aggressive, uses fireballs to cover their approach to getting on you and hits you with low or flight into shell kick once you are locked down by missiles and rushes you down, and just a completely aggressive style. Those two different players require a different approach from you. So the thing here is you've got to look at all of those players specifically and do your research. Go to the library on this. Find footage of them playing. Anything in the last few years is still going to have some relevance unless they've rapidly improved. If they've been around for a long time, play from a few years ago is still very valid. So find that footage and just watch. Watch it, have a look, think, and then write down some ideas. Write down some ideas about what that player does and how you are going to exploit that. What tendencies do they have as a player? Do they X-Factor to save certain characters? One-Up Miles, in a lot of cases, X-Factors to save his zero on point. He X-Factors to save that character, and I know that from experience, but I could have found that out through watching him play other people. So he knows that if Zero's about to get hit in neutral with a Chaotic Flame from a DHC to Dormammu, I know that DHC to Dormammu, I might as well do a Chaotic Flame to try and hit Zero, because Miles wants to save his Zero, so he'll X-Factor that character. Now I've got him to spend X-Factor, and that might be better for him gameplay-wise, and it might be better for me at the same time, but he has his own ideas about why that's good. But I can use that to my advantage if I want him to spend that X-Factor. Otherwise, I'll DHC to Stalking Flare instead, and have that slowly creep across and play some neutral there. So, knowing that, I can play that with that to my advantage. So if the X-Factor in certain situations, or if the X-Factor in to save certain characters, when do they spend bar? Do they get angry about certain things when certain things happen? Can I exploit that? Can I exploit certain things? If you've played casuals with them before, if you've seen them, playing in a weekly queue or a nightly queue, lucky here in the UK, we've got dry games and we play pretty much every night. You can see people talking about the things that they don't like, and you can see like the rage in the text that they're putting into the chat. Sometimes they're in voice chat, and it's anger coming out about certain things happening in the game. Well, can you do that to them? Can you make them tilt a little bit? Because if you can put someone off kilter and surprise them and start making them think about that thing that you've just done, you've just taken a layer away from their mental stack. You've just removed one entirely, and now they're thinking about one more thing and not able to think as well as they were before about the thing that you've just exploited them with. You've made them angry with a little teabag. You've thrown them in a situation they hate getting thrown out of. Oh, how have I got thrown out of my heavy? Well, maybe your heavy had already started up and they threw your heavy after the start up of the throw. So your heavy wasn't active yet, but the throw window's gone, and then they jumped and grabbed you out of your heavy. If that annoys them, well, wait for opportunities like that. If they hate their assists getting happy birthdayed, try and countercall their assists even more than you normally would. Watch for their assist patterns. So you're trying to pick out any sort of patterns you can on when they call assists, when they spend the bar, what sort of TACs they go for, what's the first TAC they go for in every match. Is it a down? Is it a side? Is it an up? If they get countered on that first one, where do they go with the second one? Or if they get hit, if they hit with the first one, where do they go with the second one? Are they even reliant on TACs? Because if they're not, knowing that is going to be to your benefit, because you can think about other things in the process. If you know that they aren't a TAC prone player, well then you can think about other things whilst you're getting comboed, and you can concentrate on other things. It gives you more opportunity to add things back to your mental stack so that you can think about more things at once and make calmer decisions about what's about to happen. And those karma decisions are only going to be aided by you having an idea of all of these things that that player does. So that 7th place player, that 5th place player, you're going to have a good idea as to what they do in all of these different situations. And that's going to keep you calmer and keep you thinking more about what it is that your game plan should be at that point in the match. You can also think about what ways in which they score their hits. So if you're watching them and their footage, what do they do in neutral to score their hits? Because if it's a character like Wolverine and they get lots of hits from Berserker Slash into Berserker Barrage, Berserker Slash into Berserker Charge, his install super for Wolverine, and then potentially if that's blocked, they'll do mix-ups and carry on pressuring. Well, you might see that people get hit by the wildness of the aggression of that Wolverine, but then can't you just counter that? Can't you just throw them out of that? Can you go in trainer mode and set up a similar situation and see, right, okay, they do that and then they dive kick, right, what can I do? Oh, hang on, if I just do a plink dash here, well, I grab them out of that. If I just press a button here, then the way they're doing that isn't safe. I can press a button, and if I press a button on an aggressive Wolverine, they might think twice about being aggressive next time, and next time I might be able to get a little bit more space for myself and I can plink dash away. So you got to see how they're getting the hits from neutral. What are the common things they do? After you've blocked their assist, or after a person blocks their assist, what do they do next? If someone gets you to block Jam Session, what do they do next with Zero? Or if you block missiles, what do they do next with Magneto? Do they go in? Do they carry on going in after missiles are finished? Top players, traditionally, players like F-Champ, will aggress you. They'll be very aggressive, but once their advantage and the missiles are running out, they'll be very careful about that final part there. They'll only do jabs. Watch Ray play. If you watch Ray play, he is very aggressive while the assist is coming, and he will mix up once while sort of like Plasma Beam is there, but once Plasma Beam fades away, he's out, he's dashing away again. And if you understand that about their play, you can try your best to stay calm during those mix-up situations and understand what's going to happen next. So if I know that Ray's about to dash away, I can potentially use that to gain a little bit of space back, and as he's dashing away, move him towards the corner. I say that like I've done it. Ray always has my number. I hate the Wolverine Magneto matchup, but if I was in the New York scene, I'd be concentrating all day on Ray. I'd be doing nothing else but think about how do I beat that player? What can I do in all these different situations? And granted, he'd then counter and have his own adaptions, but I'd be thinking about that very much, because I'd be thinking, right, what little advantage can I gain from the way that he plays? If I do get locked down with drones, the different sequences he has, what does he tend to go for, and what different situations can I create by push blocking in a different way? Can I lead to a vulnerability through push block here? Because push block is a fantastic mechanic in this game to upset the rhythm that players have, because you can keep yourself in the air whilst their assist hits and then jab them as you fall. You can grab them as you release from block stun whilst they're trying to mix you up. You can create some very dangerous situations even during defense with just a variety of different push block styles. And the way to find out how to do that is either A, to play that player a lot, or B, even better, go to training mode, set up that situation and practice it. Because practicing that allows you to gain an upper hand in the matchup without the opposing player being able to respond to that and learn from that themselves until it's tournament time. Because that's the beauty of training mode. If you go to training mode and you learn and you grow, well, your growth now is unseen by that player that you are targeting your aggression at. Your training mode, your work that you've been putting in, is targeted towards that player, and they've not seen your updated skills yet. They've not seen your progression yet. So when it comes to tournament, you can be a completely different player from the last time you faced them in tournament through adapting to them in training mode and being ready to put some things on the screen and some situations out there that they aren't familiar with versus you. Because they have an idea in their head what you're like. They already have these things in their mind. They have an idea about what your game plan is. They have an idea about what your neutral is. So shake it up a bit, change your game plan, change your neutral, go with a different style, change your aggression level, be more aggressive, be less aggressive, change it up, think about new ideas. New tech always helps. As a player coming up, getting into top 7, top 5, a lot of progression in Marvel can be made just through getting better tech. Learning how to plink dash, learning how to throw option select, to pope select, to do a crouch dash push block option select. There's loads of different things. that you can learn, and those will all improve you. There's generic things like that, and then there's character-specific things that you can learn. One of the main things, of course, being that kill every character that you hit, but there's plenty of topics about that here. But all of these things, all of this growth, means that you can not just beat 7th place, but also leapfrog 5th place and get to 4th and 3rd and start taking some of the wins that you wouldn't normally get against them. So those types of ideas are necessary in order to grow, but it's versus someone in particular, aiming it specifically at a person in your scene. And then when you're doing that, you'll also be aiding yourself because your thought processes are improving. You are using more of your understanding of the game to develop your game plan, and it improves you across the board. So it will help you versus the rest of the players. But then as you go from that player to that player to that player, that's going to tremendously improve your chances of beating them, taking 1 game, taking 2 games, taking 3 in the set over time versus those players, and you will be getting more chances to play and learn against the best players in the scene. Final things that I want you to sort of go into are, think about, yes, their game plan is X, but what do they do with it? So when they hit you in a certain way, when they kill your character, how do you defend the welcome mix-up? How do you defend the most common welcome mix-ups and the most common neutral mix-ups? Going back to them, what happens when they make you block and assist, that type of thing. But how do you blend the most common How do you block the most common welcome mix-ups? Because you're falling in and you have to make a decision. Okay, am I vulnerable here or can I escape? Are they doing a mix-up now? Do they commonly do a mix-up that is escapable, but they rely on you not escaping? Like Hagar mix-ups. Hagar mix-ups put the fear of pipe into you, and then generally will be more layered and nuanced and rely on you a little bit to not move. Because once you're scared of pipe, his mix-ups become very, very dangerous. They are layered and dangerous even if they do sort of like the meteor options, but still, a lot of Hagar mix-ups, the 50-50s, rely on you not moving. And if you do move, they have to react and try and catch you. So if you know that's the case, right, okay, well, you can try escaping 1 time and see what happens. If you try to escape and you get away, lovely. Next time, they might be thinking about trying to catch your escape. And if they try to catch your escape, well, now they're trying to jump and pipe you. That's simpler to block than the 50-50 before that they were trying to put you in. So you've now got them confused. If you manage to escape the first time, that's a win. But the bigger win behind that escape is the next time you get put in that situation, this time, don't try to escape. This time, stay there, block, because they will try to catch your escape. They'll be thinking about that escape. And now you've won twice, and at that situation, they've not won twice, and now they're thinking, right, what do I do on my next one? I don't know what to do next time. So you've put them in a position where now they're thinking harder than they want to be thinking. That's a win. So how do you block their common mix-ups? With a lot of characters, you've got to guess, and you've got to push block very creatively. So you'll have to practice. So if you've got to fight Hulk with Lariat, the KBR Evo winning mix-up, where he super jumps up with Hulk whilst calling Lariat assist, well, number 1, how do you escape that? Number 2, how do you defend without escaping? Number 3, are there any ways to beat it? You go into training mode and you try things until you find some answers. Try some things, anything you can, think outside the box, be creative. You've got to be creative. That is the root of fighting game success, being creative. Like, did people think that Wolverine Dormammu Iron Fist had tech? Did they think it would be able to compete with Zero, like Doom Virgil in 2024, 2023? I don't think so. And I think developing tech is something that is very personal to you, because you need to plumb the depths of your intelligence and really push the boundaries of what can be capable. Don't listen to what other people say. Ignore them. They're all idiots. Don't listen to what they say. Find the tech for yourself. You'll beat people, guaranteed. So if you do block, then, going back to this, if you do block, you then need to think, right, next phase of this, I have blocked. Fantastic. What next? What do they do when you block? If you block, what's the follow-up mix-up? What's the second layer? Because that is where a lot of players will get hit. They start to develop their game, they're getting better, they learn to block that first mix-up, and then the second thing hits them. So you've got to be thinking about, right, okay, watch their footage. Oh, this is the mix-up. I will practice how to block this. I'll practice how to escape it. but you've also then got to go further and practice how to block the next thing. If you block that next thing, what comes next after that? Have they called all their assists? Do they now have to spend meter to keep that pressure up? Because if they do, well then that's a win in and of itself for you. In that sense, you are getting them to use resources and overextend, take risks to try and open you up. And I'll be frank, a lot of players who aren't, say, in fact, no, a lot of players who are the best in your scene and who can compete at a national level, wherever you are, whatever region you're from, and maybe on an international level, a lot of those players are not as strong as maybe you might have built them up to be in your head. That is because they are desperate to get a hit on you. They don't want you to be released from the mix-up. There are players who haven't reached that F-Champ level, that Chris G level, that Ray level, who are doing well because they're aggressive and because they've got a good game plan, but they overextend all the time and they take big risks. And if you watch their gameplay, you'll see times where they take too big of a risk. And again, it's going back to that thing I talked about before. Oh, can I push a button here? Are they relying on me being afraid? Because if so, learn to hit a plink dash throw and then an option select to block at the same time. Learn to press a button that's going to be successful in this situation. Learn their habits, because players ultimately are not as good as you might have built them up to be in your head. And that goes for the top players in your scene. It goes for players all across the world. It goes for the very best as well. The very best aren't anything other than human. Completely fallible. So ready to make a mistake if you force them to. All you've got to do is exploit their weaknesses and put them under pressure. I fall for it, Jabril will fall for it, Liberal Terminator will fall for it. Maybe less than the weaker players. I say weaker, less amazing players, because those players are amazing. But still completely fallible. You can beat them, you just need to put the work in to exploit the ways in which they can be beat. Might be a tough road, might take a while, but get yourself that picture in your mind of what it is that you can you can exploit that's vulnerable about them. For example, at Evo, I exploited a hell of a lot of people by playing something they'd never played against before, and is very strong in a tournaments scenario. So Wolverine, such simple combos, very effective at Evo, where the pressure's very high. People with more complex characters have more to worry about pressure-wise than I do. Wolverine's so simple. Dormammu combos, very simple. Iron Fist combos, very simple. The neutral, fairly simple as well, especially with the way I play it. So the more they've got to go on, I exploited that, and I knew I was, but that's the whole point. Like that's the gist. You exploit every advantage you have available to you. So that's the gist of today's video. You've seen a bunch of my play. You see how poor I was? Like some of these games here, like absolutely pitiful gameplay that I was displaying back in 2000 what year would have been 2012, 12 years ago. You have to grow as a player gradually. It takes a long time. I'm a slow grower, very slow indeed. Some players I've seen coming up in our scene, players like Inclaa, players like TeaForDinner. Like if you watch their play and you compare them 1 year from now ago, it's night and day. The difference that they're making. Players that I don't see play for a while. Meister Jaeger comes back and plays out of his mind. I've not seen him play that well before. He's just playing better and better and better and better and better, because of this idea of gradually trying to develop your game. But they will do even better still practicing specifically against certain players. In Europe, we've been really lucky because we've had Meister Jaeger compiling all of the stats for us from the Untamed Gaming tournament series that we've had. We've had 4 seasons, and in those 4 seasons, we had 4 separate leaderboards and an overall leaderboard, which I'll bring up now. So if we have a look at this, this shows each of the different placings, so 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, so on, and how many times each person has made that placing. So in these tournament series, I've had 14 first places. I've won 14 of them. I've come second 5 times, probably in a majority to Miles, who's won 4 of them, maybe 1 or 2 to maybe some combination of like Glass, Joe, Shuffle. I think DP's wins have only been more recent. Doplghost maybe took 1. I think Doplghost did take 1 off me. So like those people, the winners here, Thing Upstairs won 1, and Escalante came in and won 1. at one time when I didn't play, or maybe I did play and I DQ'd very early. I think I came 17th. I wasn't feeling well, so I just DQ'd myself after a bit. But when we look down here and you see these players: Spartan, Throne, One Up Miles, Glass, Captain Joe, Shuffle, Demon Phoenix, Doplghost, Tails Mystery. 8 players who are very strong within our scene, and then of course beyond that thing upstairs: Benkill, Esler, TeaForDinner, Reach, Sheep or Catboy Friender, Vlaf, Ghost, let's see, Meister Jaeger and Inclaa and Risen, a number of good players there, and a good variety in the gameplay, good variety in the skill level. But if we look at the different win rates, you've got a win rate calculation over here as well for these players. In fact, let me just zoom out a little bit here so I can squeeze it all in on the screen. My win rate's up there at 87.5%, Miles at 76. There's a big drop again there down to Glass, Captain Joe, Shuffle, like sort of 62, 60, 65, 61, 58. And TeaForDinner, I'm going to pick out T and Inclaa. Inclaa is in 21st and T is in 12th. Up with 3 seasons played, and this 4th season that we're doing right now, things have changed quite a bit. So T was in 12th place, came 2nd once, 4th once, 5th twice, 7th 4 times, and then a number of 9th, 13th, 17th, so on and so forth. Inclaa, similar story, except the best placing before this for Inclaa was 5th twice, came 5th twice, a number of 9th places, sort of got like that 9th place, 13th place sort of like curse there for Inclaa. And if I look at a slightly different chart, the one for this season, now this isn't exactly the same. This is the weeks are listed along the top, not the position. The position we have to look downwards on this one. Week 1, Shuffle won. Week 2, Demon Phoenix won. Week 3, I took part properly because I didn't take part in that one. Came 13th in that one. I won this one. I won the 4th one as well. So that one's not been updated yet, but we'll see an updated chart. But T came 2nd in the first one, 5th in the second one, 7th in the third one, and then made winners finals in this one and came 3rd. So it's been 2nd, 5th, 7th, 3rd. Loads of effort that T's been putting in, along with Inclaa, who came 5th, again matching his best performance there. 9th, and then 4th here in this 4th week. So 4th place, which is going to get Inclaa those points to jump into here, possibly getting past Captain Joe, maybe into this mark. I'm going to see how many points they've got overall. Point total is right there. Point total, let's have a look here. So 4th place is going to get Inclaa 3 points, maybe jump him up above Captain Joe and Esler, getting closer to Doplghost. And did Doppel enter last week? I'm not sure. But that progress that they've been making is gradual, but the next step for them is to have preparation there so that when they do meet Captain Joe and Doplghost and Mystery and Glass in the bracket, they are prepared to beat them. And then when they meet Demon Phoenix, when they meet Shuffle, and when they meet myself and Miles, if he comes back and plays this season, they're more prepared for him and us than they were. And that preparation is going to pay off, not just for the person that you made that preparation for. So if you prepare for Glass, you're preparing for Chris, Sentinel, and Dante, and you're preparing for Glass specifically. But that means that you are more able to adapt your playstyle to Glass's playstyle. And when you can play against Glass's playstyle, then you're able to play against other playstyles with a little bit more of an option. You can choose to modify your gameplay because you've already learned another way to play against Glass. And on top of that, you have learned Chris experience, which will only really pay off against Benkill. You've learned Sentinel experience, which pays off against Shuffle and against Captain Joe and Benkill from time to time, because there's an alternate character for him. And you also get Dante experience, and Dante being a little bit rarer in Europe than it is in America, but Dante experience is really good because sometimes people do switch to a jam session. Shuffle has a jam session team. I have a jam session team. I use it with my Zero team, and different people will mess about with different teams. But you get that experience, and it builds and builds. And the more players you prepare for, the more different ways you make yourself adaptable, the more different skills you adopt, and the more different styles of play that you can adapt to. It's a very good way to play. Everyone should be looking to research the people in their scene because other people out in other scenes are not so different. Like I said before, everyone is fallible and everyone has a weakness and everyone has a play style. Maybe they are a little bit more varied and conscious about it, but everyone has it. And the more different styles you prepare for in your own scene, the more that adapts and expands and becomes a level of I'll say flexibility that allows you to compete on a national and international level. That level of preparedness allows you to compete with people you've never played with before, because you've seen things like that before, you've trained for things like that before, and you are ready for things like that in tournament. And they might not be ready for you because you've worked harder, you've prepared harder, you are ready to win. So that's it for today. The final message for you is everybody is beatable. People just need to be downloaded. Use your training mode time to download them, and then when you get to the match, upload all that learning that you've been putting in, and you'll be taking some names. You'll be making 5th place, 3rd place, 2nd, you get to grand finals, and then eventually you'll take one. And then maybe you'll get another 2nd place, 3rd place again, and you'll take another. And it'll just be a gradual build. Ask for advice, speak to people, learn, and you will progress. So I just recorded all of that you've just seen earlier today, about 12 hours ago. And then the very same day, Jaeger updates the leaderboard with the 4th event, last 2 weeks ago's event, where I came first, Demon Phoenix came 2nd, and T came 3rd and shot up to 4th place. And then tonight, literally just now, T has gone and won the 5th event, spoilers, and managed to shoot now. I think that's 10 points that T's going to add on to her score. So T's going to shoot up to, where are the scores? T's going to shoot up to 25. I think I get 5 points or so. I get 5 points, so I'm going to be on 25. So me and T are going to be on 25 each. And tied second place, I think, unless some of the other points move about. I know DP came 2nd, so DP is going to be on 32, I think, clear first place. But I think it's going to be me and T in 2nd, yeah. So me, obviously I'm the best, and T right alongside me. You can develop your game very quickly. T, I don't think, has actually been playing this game competitively for even 12 months. T is 15 or 16 years old, doing her GCSEs right now, in the middle of exams, and still rapidly improving. And yeah, the effort pays off. You've just got to put it in and gradually, bit by bit, add more to your repertoire, get more experience, keep improving that mindset. Right, I've been Sparty. It's been a pleasure. I'll be back soon with another video. Peace.